Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it seems like we've finally reached the point of Biden fatigue. I can't believe it took this long, but I guess better late than never. It seems as though the mainstream media, well, everybody except for NPR, MSNBC, the literal paid Democrat shills, it seems like most of the media at this point has just had enough. And that even includes CNN. They've done enough to try to prop this guy up. I think at this point they've given up. It's a different kind of Biden fatigue, I guess. We're tired of Biden because of the track record, and maybe the obvious mid to late stages of dementia, but they're tired because they're literally mentally and physically tired, drained. They just can't do it anymore. Running defense for this guy over the last 4 years has been too much. I think they've given up. CNN just did a one-on-one interview with Resident Joe, and let's just say they kind of brutalized him. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, guys, so just take a look at this.
So when you talk about the economy, of course, it is by far the most important issue for voters. It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along. How many, you guys do a poll with CNN, how many folks you have to call to get one response? The idea that we're in a situation where things are so bad, the folks that, we've created more jobs. We're in a situation where people have access to good paying jobs. And the last I saw, the combination of the inflation, the cost of inflation, all those things, that's really worrisome to people with good reason. That's why I'm working very hard to bring the cost of rentals down, to increase the number of homes that are available. But let me say it this way. When I started this administration, people were saying there's going to be a collapse of the economy. We have the strongest economy in the world. Let me say it again, in the world.
Although GDP last week was far short of expectations.
Oh, it wasn't. Look, GDP is still growing. Look at the response of the markets. Overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly positive. And one of the reasons why people feel good about it not being as strong as it was before is they believe that the Fed's going to respond.
They hope they're going to get a rate cut.
Yeah. Well, no president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%. But look, people have a right to be concerned. Ordinary people, the idea that you bounce a check and you get a $30 fee for bouncing the check, might change that. You can't charge more than $8 for that. Or your credit card, your late payment, $35. There's corporate greed going on out there, and it's got to be dealt with.
Wow, they actually asked good questions and then fact-checked him midway through his responses. Maybe not with the same aggressive fact-checking style of Caitlin Collins attacking Donald Trump attempting to speak.
I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely left group of people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with them. All of a sudden, they raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like you did.
And so that's the question. $1,850.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Can you answer? answer why you...
But still, they asked some actual questions and interjected with some nice economic figures that are actually right. And then, of course, that laid the floor for Joe Biden a response, and, well, as usual, a swing and a miss, another strikeout from the president. He responds with, "We're the strongest economy in the world." And she says, GDP last quarter was 1.6%. You crazy old man. But then he goes in to say, well, inflation was at 9% when I took office. What? No, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was below 2% or right around 2%. Joe Biden then took over, and just look at the graph. He spiked it to 9% with unnecessary stimulus payments and keeping government spending at what, a near $7 trillion bill. Totally unnecessary, totally excessive, when inflation was already a serious concern that economists were warning about. But he says inflation was 9% when Donald Trump took office. This guy's a crackhead. And then he goes into a totally rehearsed, completely irrelevant political talking point tangent and blames corporate greed. Oh, corporate greed and shrinkflation. Inflation isn't the increased cost of production during times of an oil crisis and supply chain breakdown with unprecedented consumer demand, since Joe Biden literally gave everybody free frickin' money. No, inflation is just corporate greed. Costco wants to sell $7 hot dogs because they're a bunch of a-holes. Just kidding, Costco, I love you. Just trying to be a little entertaining and hyperbolic. I know that Costco hot dogs are still remaining at the steady price, but the point is, this talking point from leftists that we keep hearing is completely insane. They're just talking out of their behinds and trying to shift blame elsewhere, and they should be criticized for that. It's a horrible talking point. Joe Biden has a whole lot of options. You know, he could talk about his economic plan moving forward. That's never what he does. I mean, we don't even know what his plan is for really anything. Just like Janet Yellen told us, they don't even have a plan for the soon-to-be insolvent Social Security problem. You know, he's not going to present a plan. He's going to default to the two worst talking points he has. Actually, things are going great. The polls are wrong. The people are wrong. The best economy in the world, Jack. That talking point, the talking point where he plays as if you're stupid and you should just take his bold-faced lie at face value. He starts off with that one and then goes on to say, it's not my fault. It was there when I got there. It's not my economic policies. In fact, economic policies here aren't even a factor. It's just corporate greed. This guy, I am telling you, is the worst. I know a lot of people want to focus on his dementia. Oh, he's old and that's why Republicans hate him. And there is too much focus on the fact that Joe Biden's old and continues to read the word directions on the teleprompter during his speeches.
My theology professor at the Catholic school I went to was a guy named Riley, last name, and he had been drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Know the little expression, time is money. As one computer said, if you're on the train and they say Portal Bridge, you know you better make other plans.
You know, he obviously is suffering from dementia, but that's not why he sucks. It's part of it. It's a big part of it, but he also just sucks. As a human being and as a politician, he's the type of guy who denies the existence of one of his granddaughters because it's not politically helpful. He's that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who openly practices corruption and then tries to torch the next guy for essentially doing what he's doing. My political opponent's dividing the country, but 50% of the nation, well, they're all right-wing MAGA domestic terrorists. He's the type of guy who will hold classified documents illegally from the time he was a senator and then do a one-on-one interview on MSNBC after the revelation comes out that Donald Trump has classified documents from his own presidency from, I don't know, literally a year and a half ago, where he's protected by the Presidential Records Act. But Joe Biden will come out and say, how could he? How could he put our country in danger? Knowing the whole time that he is illegally holding classified documents. Joe Biden's that type of guy. And he's also the type of politician who constantly lies. He lied about his transcript. He lies about his past. He lies about every story. And then he implements all of these policies. He fails the nation time after time again, and then gaslights the public, telling them they're just dumb and they don't get it. He's the best, but you don't see it and the polls are fake. This guy is the worst. You know, Donald Trump's the bad guy because he made Jim Acosta cry in his bed at night nightly. Oh no. And apparently Joe Biden is the model human being. Give me a frickin' break. This guy's insane, and it seems like the media at this point is just done with it. They're checking out, they're clocking out, and I don't blame them. To be honest, I don't know how they kept up this charade as long as they did. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.